Welcome to the Hormone Reset Club tech tutorial video. This video we are going to focus on the file HRC Progress Tracker. I'm opening up the Progress Tracker in Microsoft Excel. When you go in Excel, you need to enable editing. If you are using the Google Doc, the Google Sheets, there are some minor differences. I will be using Google Sheets to do the video for the hormone profile diagnostic. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the tabs. Down at the bottom you have tabs. Each of these tabs deal with a different set of data collection. Over to the very far left you have these little arrows. These arrows help you to navigate through the tabs. You have your scroll bar to the right. So if I want to see the very last tab, there's a shortcut. I can press the Control key, hold it down while I left click on the right arrow. And now I can see the very last tab, which is Menu. Now if I want to go back to the very first tab, I press down the Control key and I left click on the left arrow. And now I can see the Instructions tab. The very first worksheet is called Instructions, and it discusses all of the data on each of the different tabs. You have your tab label, and then you have your instructions. So for the Measurements tab, you record important dates to remember and other requested information. You record your best body assessment information, and then you have your Progress Tracker section, which records your measurements. Then there's the Personal Assessment tab, and this describes, you are able to read, so I'm only going to mention what needs to be talked about when we're actually on the tabs. But here are the instructions in case you forget and you don't want to go watch the video again. Now I'm going to the Measurements tab. The very beginning, at the top, you list your starting data, your age, your height in inches, your goal weight, and the date you'd like to reach your goal. Over here there is also a note. If you want to be able to print all of this out, when you go to print, make sure under Settings you select Scaling. Fit all columns on one page. And then all of the columns will appear on one page. The Best Body Assessment. This is where the data that you collect on the Best Body Assessment is to be stored electronically. The Best Body Assessment is in your worksheets, and there are instructions that talks about how to collect your pH. So you have to identify, are you using the saliva method or the urine method? What is your body pH value? What is your blood pressure, your shirt size, and your pant size at the start? Then at week 4, week 8, week 12, 6 months, and 12 months. Sometimes the scale doesn't change, but your clothes do. Sometimes the scale doesn't change, your clothes don't change, but your blood pressure does and your body pH does. So as long as you can see these changes, you are moving in the right direction. Now the Progress Tracker section is where you're going to focus most every time you take your measurements. In the pink row, you're going to enter your starting values. In this center section here, notice it's in red, highlighted. Do not enter any data in this section. The cells will populate with results from the defined calculations. And there's a little note to remind you waist to hip ratio should be less than 0.9. So the pink row will not have any calculations because it's just starting. You will have a waist to hip ratio. And the third section of data is where you enter in the data that is obtained from the macro calculator, which is a separate file. You're going to focus on this in month 2. So when the time comes and you start focusing on your calories, your protein, your fat, and your carbs, you get to enter it here to remind yourself so that you don't have to look for the data, what your goals are. Next, we're going to move to the personal assessment tab. On this worksheet, you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the strongest. Rate your overall health, your overall energy, your overall body image. Your desired goal. What will you be happy with? Will you be happy with a 7? Will you be happy with an 8? At the start of the program, where are you? Are you at a 5? Are you at a 4? Are you at a 7? If you're at a 7, then your desired goal should be an 8 or a 9 or a 10. And you reevaluate every 4 weeks. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, how would you rate your stress level? Describe in detail the conditions of your skin, hair, nails, sleep patterns, energy levels throughout the day, your body, and your joints. The next tab is your lab panels. If you choose to get blood work, which I recommend everybody get blood work because that's the only way to really fine-tune and know where changes are happening. You can have changes in your blood work and yet not see changes on the scale because your body is healing. So when you get your blood work back from your doctor, it's your responsibility to transfer the results. And this is actually something that's beneficial for you to take to your doctor as well. The next tab is meds and supplements. This is where you list all of your medications before starting the hormone reset and all the supplements you're currently taking. Allergies. List your food allergies first if you have any, and then list your environmental allergies if you have any. The hormone profile scores. Well, this requires that you go into the hormone profile diagnostic file. Once you're in the hormone profile diagnostic, I will show you how to take your scores from there and copy them to here. The self-assessment. This particular sheet is designed to help you self-diagnose. If you are feeling like you're not getting the results you should be getting, you need to come in here and be honest. Be honest, because, and this is not judgment, if you are not honest, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. It's just not going to happen. So how compliant was I with following the reintroduction phase of a cleanse? Very compliant, somewhat compliant, not at all compliant. If your answer is not at all compliant, you need to stop right there and go back through, repeat the cleanse for 2 weeks, and then start with the reintroduction. That's why it is important, knowing this, that from step 1, you be very compliant with the cleanse and the reintroduction. If you're very compliant from the beginning, then you don't have to go and repeat it down the road because you're not getting the results that you want to get. And I'm going to tell you from my personal experience. It took me 6 weeks to be able to have 14 straight days of compliance with the cleanse. During those 6 weeks, I would have a life situation happen, and it would result in me making poor choices. But I didn't stop, and I didn't throw in the towel. I just continued to keep going, and each time I went further and further with completing the cleanse until finally I was able to have 14 straight days in a row, because that's what it takes in order for your liver and other organs, your digestive system and everything to start resetting. Now on the positive, even though I was not 100% the first 2 weeks, over that 6-week period, I wound up eliminating 30 pounds. So there was a lot of progress there. There was a lot of inflammation there, just so you know. And then through reintroduction, we discovered that I had several sensitivities. And once I eliminated those foods, the weight started melting off of me like hot butter. A knife going through hot butter. So the next question, have I been tracking my calories, macros, and workouts consistently? If your answer is no, you need to stop right there and go back to tracking. If your answer is somewhat, and it was somewhat for how compliant you were, then it's very possible that you're hindering your success. Am I achieving the results I want? If the answer is no, and you have somewhat and somewhat to the first two questions, then you need to go back and repeat the first two options. You need to go back and you need to start tracking your calories, macros, and workouts consistently. And then you need to go back and follow the reintroduction phase of the cleanse with diligence. And you just keep going down. If your answers are yes, you keep going to the next question. The next tab is a supplement tracker. Everybody tracks differently. This is just a suggestion to help, where you can write down your supplements and what time of day you take them and whether you've taken them. Another version of the supplement tracker. This one is more useful if you're fasting. It starts with the supplements that you can take while you're fasted because they do not break your fast. And then you take the supplements that you're going to take with when you break your fast and for your second meal, and then the supplements you take at bedtime. And finally, there's a menu tracker. And it's actually it's not a tracker, it's a template. It's a menu template. And here, this is just to help you if you're trying to lay out your menus for your shopping list. And that is the progress tracker. Now we will come back to the progress tracker in order to copy our hormone profile scores into it. This being an Excel file, it's important that you save your document in order to save your data. In Google Sheets, the data is automatically saved. That's a good thing. On the negative, if you accidentally delete something in the Google Sheets, unless you Control Z right away, you may not be getting that data back, so you'll have to be careful.